Charles, what's happening in the community that they can be involved with?
Hello, everybody. If anybody is not having a Thanksgiving, we're having a Thanksgiving brunch, 9th in Delaware, right around the corner from the library, or the St. Clair Library. Then, after y'all leave there, y'all can go to 29th and Broadway at Broadway Methodist Church for a Thanksgiving dinner. But the two big things is December 13th at the YMCA, we're going to have hot food. Everybody walks around the whole building and get one Christmas gift off of each table. When you get to the shoe, you'll walk out with a trash bag full of brand new gifts. Then we're going to have a second one at 901 South Shelby Street from 9 in the morning. We're having hot breakfast. You walk around the whole room again, and you pick one item off the table. When you get to the end, you have another trash bag that's full of gifts.
All right, thanks, Charles. There's some good things coming up. Okay, let's kind of be quiet as we're going to read the scripture. It's coming out of Matthew's Gospel, Matthew chapter 8. It's a story you probably know, but it's a story that awakens us to faith, and it helps us to be able to be thankful for God bringing us through all terrible things that may happen in our lives. So, Lindsay, starting down there, here with this verse.
Now when he got into
Listen up, everybody.
a boat, his disciples followed him. And suddenly a great tempest arose on the sea, so that the boat was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. Then his disciples came to him, awoke him, and said, Lord, save us, we are perishing. But he said to them, why are you fearful, O you of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. So the men marveled, saying, who can this be, that even the winds and the sea obeyed him?
All right, give Lindsay a hand here. All right, great job. All right, how many of you know the story about Jesus in the boat there, and his disciples are out on the Sea of Galilee, and a great storm comes up. It's so bad, even these fishermen who have been out on that lake many times before, they're scared to death and they think they're going to drown. You know, sometimes in our circumstances, we may think, hey, me, I'm drowning. Things are bad. I'm going down. And when we look around for God to be there for us, it's like what happens with these disciples. Where is Jesus, and what is Jesus doing when the storm comes up and these men are about to drown? He's asleep. He's asleep. This is almost comical what was happening in this story, even though when you think about it, if we were there in that boat, we would have been scared to death too, man. We've been so frightened because it looks like we're going down and this boat's going to sink. But Jesus comes to their rescue, of course. That's the whole point of the story, is that, hey, why did you not believe that I could do something about this? And they're totally amazed that Jesus could take care of the waves and the wind and calm it all down, all right? You know, in our lives, we go through some really tough times. This is what I feel in my own life. I've gone through some really tough times. Sometimes it's physical. Sometimes it's emotional, spiritual. I've gone through some really tough health problems in my past. I used to be hypoglycemic, and I used to have migraine headaches, and those last for more than a decade in my life, and I prayed and prayed and prayed for God to heal me. And you know, when you're doing those prayers to God, when things are not, you know, looking like anything is happening, it looks like God's asleep up there in heaven and he's not paying any attention, right? But you know, God does answer. And he does it. He's healed me so many times. I know that I have a God who does really listen, and he's not asleep at the wheel. He really is awake and alert to all my concerns. You know, Thanksgiving is a time in which we remember about the pilgrims on the first Thanksgiving that came about in 1621. 1 year after the Pilgrims arrived there in what we know as Massachusetts, they came here for religious freedom. They were persecuted there in England and then over in Holland, and they came here because they thought they could start a new life. But it was a very difficult one. Some of them died on the ship coming over, and in the year's time, half of them passed away either from disease or starvation. Out of 102 people, only 51 were left for that first Thanksgiving. That's how rough it was for them. But here they are, they're gathered because they've been able to survive. They've been able to find some ways of producing food through the Indians or Native Americans that were there surrounding them. And they made friends with them, as we know the story. And the chief of the Native Americans showed up there at the last, and they didn't expect it, and he brought 90 men with him and 3 days of food for them to feast on. God provided for them. And part of that was through the fact that somebody cared about even somebody of another race, even people who had come in and sort of taken their land a little bit. And there was this unity between Native Americans and the English and Dutch that came over here on the Mayflower. You know, God has a way of bringing us together to help one another as well. And sometimes that's the way we see how God is working in our lives. But you know, can you imagine how thankful those 51 people were that they had been able to survive and thrive and be able to do well, and they could look forward to a good future in a new land. But it only came after some really difficult time in their life. And I think when we're most grateful, it's not when things are all going well. It's not when we're all happy and everything's just hunky-dory. It's when we had to go through something really tough in our lives. And then we see how God has answered our prayers. Some of you know I've had cancer over the last 3.5 years. It's a cancer that keeps coming back. It's not a major one, but it was something that you had to deal with surgery and removal of the cancer and even going through some radiation. So now that I've been going through this last year and cancer has not come back, and I just did a biopsy on Tuesday, it's saying that everything looks good. So that's when I can really be thankful, right? When you get that, you go through that, right? But it's because I had that time of period where so many things were not going the way, and I kept asking for God, you know, you got to heal me. And when you have that delay, you feel like Jesus is asleep at the wheel and he's not listening. But he is. He has his own time, and he will bring forth that answer to our prayers. And so I hope you feel that way tonight. Are you going through something? Are you coming out of something? Or are you going into something where it's some trouble in your life? Well, I know that Jesus is going through there with you. Just as he was in the boat with his disciples. He hadn't abandoned them. He was right there. He might be asleep for a bit, but don't worry. He's alert. He's aware. He is involved in whatever situation that you're dealing with, and he will bring answers to your life. And if there's any way this ministry of Circle City Dinner Church can provide for some need that you might have, we want to do that. We're always here available anytime that you come. If you have some needs and concerns, let us know about that. Talk to me, talk to my wife Debbie, or any of our staff here. We will try to do the best we can to be able to meet your needs. Mrs. Riley, you want to come on up? So I'll put that need down on a prayer card, but more importantly, talk to us if there's some concern that we can meet for you. We want to be God's answer in some way in your life if we can possibly do that. So this ministry is here for you, and we're grateful for you in any way we can. We want you to have the best Thanksgiving that you could ever have, knowing that God really does care for you.
Thanks, Jim. And when you write out your prayer request, if you would put your name on the card so we can pray for you by name. That's really important. You know, I was reading something this week about having a grateful heart, and Jim was talking about that. You know, that when we let our worries and concerns and give them to God, then we have room in our heart for gratefulness. And to be grateful for the little things and for the big things. But each day, be mindful what you are grateful for. It might be just waking up another day of life. It might be something big that God has answered a prayer and has provided a new place to live. But whatever it is, thank God for that. And together, we're going to pray this prayer that Jesus gave us. This is something we do for those of you who are new at dinner church. This is something we do, and this is a prayer that might be familiar to many of you. But it's a special prayer that Jesus gave to us. And this is something I encourage you, take this card, keep this close to your heart, and pray for it. Say this prayer. Because if you notice the words in it, it covers an awful lot of our needs and our concerns. A lot of us carry unforgiveness with us. And this prayer reminds us that we need to forgive and not carry that with us. So it's a good reminder, and it's our way of reaching up to God. So together, we're going to say this prayer together. This is something we do every week at dinner church. So please join me. Our
Father,
which
art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.